All right, so we're going to learn a little bit about something called edge loops today. And we're going to create, instead of using cubes, we're going to create something with a cylinder. So let's create a cylinder and hit W, and you can see that the pivot is right in the center of this cylinder. And you can actually move your pivot around by holding down D. And then when you do that, if I were to like rotate it, you can see it now, it rotates, set it from the center, from wherever I move that pivot. So let's move the pivot to the very bottom point right here. We're going to do that by snapping to points. And what's going to do is it's going to snap the pivot to that point. When we hold down D and you move it by the green line, the pivot goes right there. Let's turn off snap to point and let's turn on snap to grid. And we're going to move it without holding down D, and that's going to snap it right to that center area right there. Did we really need to do that? No. I just wanted you guys to be aware of how that works. So now when we go back into object mode, you can see that the pivot is in that position. Next thing I'm going to do is go into the selection tool. Now I'm going to select, by just dragging a box, I'm going to select in face mode, these faces right here. I'm going to hit delete on the keyboard. And it should put a hole all the way through it. Now if it doesn't, it might be that your selection tool is set to camera-based selection. And if it is, it will only select the things that the camera can see. So you might have to do it twice, then that's fine too. So basically we have a cylinder with no top and no bottom, sitting right on the bottom of our square. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into edge mode, double click, and move that edge down. Now we're going to turn off snap to grid, so none of your snaps should be on now. So everything should be freely flowing. And if it's still snapping, even though those are off, you might need to double click on the options for the tool, which is the move tool right here, and make sure that set snap is set to off. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit R. I'm going to scale that in. And this is going to be the very bottom of our little, we're going to make kind of a wine glass right now. I'm going to double click here. I'm going to pull this up a little bit. And then I'm going to do an extrusion with Control E. I'm going to push this down with W. So once again, that's Control E and then W. And I might want to snap that to the grid. So that's right there. Okay. Then I'm going to do another Control E, W. Let's turn off grid snap. R to scale. Let's pull that in a little bit. And another Control E, R. And I'm moving it up a little bit. And then I'm going to use R to kind of pull it in. And let's do one last one. Control E, R to scale. And then I'm going to pull this in so it becomes 1 point. And I'm going to do that by going Shift, right click, merge to center. And that all becomes 1 point when I do that. Let's move up the other direction. We're going to double click here. Control E, W. I'm going to pull that in. Something like this. We're going to do the stem. I'm actually going to pull this down. I kind of like the idea of that. You can just double click and make some changes to it. No, it's really up to you how you want this to look. I might scale this out a little further, pull it down a bit. Get creative. I'm going to double click on that and I'm going to do a Control E to pull that up. And that's my stem. Double click. Control E. I'm going to start to raise this up and R to scale. Control E, W, and R. Control E, W, oops, Control E, W, and R. Control E, W, R, Control E, W. And yeah, I made that a little thick. I might hold down Shift and make these a little bit smaller. Something like that. I think that's good. Let's go a little higher with this. Control E, W. Maybe I'll even have it come in just a smidge. Okay, so that's the top of my wine glass. Now, I'm going to make a little lip right here. So I'm going to do a Control E, W, sorry, a Control E, R to pull that in a little bit. You want to give it a little bit of thickness on top. You don't want it to be completely, you don't want to go just straight down here. You want to have a little bit of a lip. So maybe something like that. And then another Control E, W to come down. You might want to go into 4 mode here so you can kind of see in 3D view. You don't want to go so far down that you come out the other side. And I'm going to do another Control E, R, shrink that down. Control E, W, and R. And maybe another Control E. And I'll have this just kind of pull in, merge, collapse to center. Oops. Sorry, that was a Shift, right click, merge, collapse to center. Pull that down a little. Okay, let's go back into 5 mode so we can see this thing in full view. And it doesn't look very exciting. Let's hit 3 to see what it looks like. Okay, that's kind of cool, but it kind of blends a little too much. I want some hard edges in a few spots. Sorry, I'm just going to clean that up a little. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some edge loops. So make sure you're in edge mode. Shift, right click, and go to Insert Edge Loop Tool. And make an edge loop on anywhere where you want a hard edge. It's like here, 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 here. Let's go top and maybe at the very, very top in the center and on the top. Let's see what that looks like. So now I'm going to go to Selection Tool. I'm going to go to Object Mode. I'm going to click on it, hit 3, deselect it so we can really get a feel for this. And you can see that it now has a nice hard edge right there. It's got a hard edge right there. The lip on the bottom is hard. And we have created for ourselves a nice looking little glass of, not wine because this is cool, cider glass. Beautiful. Now, could we actually turn this into glass? Yeah, there's ways that we could actually make this using materials. We could apply some lighting. If you go into rendering and you hit 7 on the keyboard, we could come in and we could throw in some lights. Where are my lights? I can remember where they are. Oh, it's under rendering. And you could put a skylight in there. And maybe a spotlight. Doesn't look very exciting, does it? But you could apply material to this. So if we go into right-clicking and holding, you can assign a new material. And I don't really know what one of these would look like. It was glass, but volumetric shader. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with setting materials in this program because we don't actually use these materials in Unreal. So don't worry about it. But I'm just going to, for fun, see if I can add some transparency and some translucence. Nope. I'm just playing with these parameters. Incandescence. That's kind of cool. What that? Oh, that kind of makes it glow. Okay. So let's deselect it so we don't have to see those green lines. And okay, we kind of have something that's starting to resemble a glass. There you go.